Welcome back! If you are enjoying this content and it is helping you travel smarter, please hit the like and subscribe button so you never miss a video. Vietnam is one of those countries that rewards the traveller who comes prepared and absolutely overwhelms the one who does not. It is long, it is logistically complex, it moves fast, and it packs more variety into a single country than most regions of the world. Done right, it is genuinely one of the best trips on Earth. This video is the complete practical guide to travelling Vietnam from north to south, or south to north, covering the cities, the highlights, the transport, and everything needed to move through the country confidently. Vietnam runs roughly 1,700 kilometers from its northern border with China, down to the tip of the Cà Mau W Peninsula in the deep south. The country is long and narrow, and the experience shifts dramatically depending on where in it the trip is based. The north, the centre, and the south all feel like different countries in terms of landscape, culture, food, and pace. Most first-time visitors fly into either Ha Noi in the north or Ho Chi Minh City in the south, and travel in one direction. Flying in one end and out the other is the most efficient approach and avoids backtracking entirely. Start with Hanoi if entering from the north. The capital is one of the most atmospheric cities in Southeast Asia, a dense, layered, slightly chaotic old city of narrow streets organised by historic trade guilds, each one historically associated with a specific product or craft. The Old Quarter is the heart of the experience. Walking the streets early in the morning before the motorbikes reach full density, drinking the local egg coffee, Cà Phê Truong, at a tiny pavement cafe, watching the city wake up around the edges of Hoan Kiem Lake, Hanoi rewards slowness. Give it 2 or 3 days minimum and the city begins to reveal itself in a way that rushing through never allows. From Hanoi, the most popular and most justified overnight excursion is to Ha Long Bay. The bay contains thousands of limestone karst islands rising from emerald green water and is one of the most visually dramatic natural landscapes in the world. The standard way to experience it is on an overnight cruise aboard a traditional junk boat, which allows getting out onto the water early in the morning before the day tour boats arrive and the bay gets busy. 2 nights on the water is better than 1 for anyone who can manage the time. Choosing a reputable operator and reading recent reviews carefully is important here, as cruise quality varies considerably. Moving south, the next major stop is Hoi Ahn. Getting there involves either a flight to Da Nang, which is around 30 minutes south of Hoi Ahn, by taxi, or a train journey that passes through some of the most spectacular coastal scenery in the country. The train route between Hue and Da Nang crosses the Hai Van Pass, running along the cliff edge above the South China Sea, and is widely considered one of the most beautiful rail journeys in Asia. Hoi Ahn itself is the most charming town in Vietnam. The ancient town is a UNESCO World Heritage Site, a beautifully preserved trading port from the 15th through 19th centuries with Japanese merchant houses, Chinese assembly halls, French colonial shop houses, and a lantern-lit covered bridge that has become one of the most recognizable images in the country. The food scene in Hoi Ahn is exceptional even by Vietnamese standards. Khao Lao is a noodle dish that is specific to Hoi Ahn, and is made with water from a particular local well. The authenticity of it can only be experienced here. White rose dumplings, Ban Bo Vác, are another local specialty worth seeking out. Hoi Ahn also has the best tailoring in Vietnam and possibly in all of Southeast Asia. Getting clothes custom made in 2 to 3 days at genuinely reasonable prices is one of those things that travellers repeatedly mention as a highlight of the whole trip. Before or after Hoi Ahn, Hue is worth a dedicated day or 2. It was the imperial capital of Vietnam from the early 19th century until 1945, and the scale of what remains, the imperial citadel, the royal tombs scattered across the surrounding hills, the pagodas along the Perfume River, gives the city a depth and historical weight that nowhere else in Vietnam quite matches. The food of Hue is also distinct and is considered by many Vietnamese people to be the most refined regional cuisine in the country. Bun Bo Hue is a spicy lemongrass beef noodle soup that bears almost no resemblance to the pho of the north and is extraordinary. Continuing south, the final major destination is Ho Chi Minh City, still commonly called Saigon by most people who live there, and by most travellers who have spent time in the south. It is a completely different energy from Hanoi, bigger, faster, more modern, more commercially driven, and operating at a pace that can feel genuinely intense from the moment of arrival. The War Remnants Museum, while heavy, is one of the most important museums in Southeast Asia and is considered essential by most serious travellers to the city. The Reunification Palace gives context to the end of the war in a way that is quietly powerful. But beyond the history, Ho Chi Minh City rewards the traveller who gets into the neighbourhoods. District 3 and the Binh Than district for street food and local life, far removed from the tourist centre. From Ho Chi Minh City, the Miech Kong Delta is the obvious excursion, a vast network of river channels, floating markets, fruit orchards, and rice paddies that feels completely unlike anywhere else in Vietnam. A day trip covers the basics, but 2 days with an overnight stay in Can Tho allows getting to the floating markets at sunrise before the tour boats arrive, which is the version of the experience worth having. On transport between cities, Vietnam has several options, and the right one depends on the distance and the budget. Domestic flights are inexpensive and cover the long distances quickly. Hanoi to Ho Chi Minh City by air is around 2 hours. The Reunification Express train running the length of the country is slower, but passes through beautiful scenery, and is a genuinely enjoyable way to cover the middle distances. Open tour buses are the cheapest option and cover all the major stops, but the journey times are long and the comfort level is basic. For shorter hops within cities, ride-hailing apps work reliably throughout urban Vietnam and are far easier than negotiating with individual taxi or motorbike drivers. On food, eating well in Vietnam requires almost no effort because the food is extraordinary at every price point. Pho is the national dish, and the northern and southern versions are genuinely different. Banh mi is the Vietnamese baguette sandwich and is one of the great street foods of the world. Bún cha is a Hanoi specialty of grilled pork patties with cold noodles and dipping broth. Gum tam is broken rice with grilled pork and is the everyday lunch of Ho Chi Minh City, eating at the places where locals eat, the small plastic stool pavement spots, the market stalls, the family-run joints, and is consistently the best food at the lowest prices. Vietnam is one of those trips that tends to stay with people. The scale of it, the variety of it, the food, the history, the landscapes, it earns its reputation as one of the great travel destinations of the world. Go in prepared, move through it at a pace that allows it to sink in, and it will almost certainly exceed expectations.